Hello everybody, Richard and Warlock here. I'm going to do a video about duality. I've been questioned about what it is and stuff like that. This is a talk that I normally do at events. I don't do them at all events. But it is my belief system and it is the concept that I use. You'll have to excuse me, I'm a little bit riled. Yet again, I'm being accused of things that aren't true. I'm sick of it. Absolutely sick of it. I'm sick of being painted as somebody that I'm not. Now, why do I get painted as the bad guy? It's because I preach something different. People then come on the attack. People try and spin rumours and lies about me, and unfortunately, people believe it. People also have a tendency to believe everything that they hear in the astral. But we're going to come to that. But that's why I'm a bit pissed off. And I've got no shame in saying it, because I preach duality. I'm here living the human experience. I have human emotions for a reason, and I am allowed to express them and feel them. So I'm going to start off with my $1 million question. Okay? I don't have $1 million, so don't hold me to this. This isn't a challenge. Anybody out there who can tell me how love and light, since its arrival back in the 60s with the hippie movement, when the Beatles fucked off to India, learned a bit from a Hindu guru or whatnot, and took acid, how it has brought any change whatsoever other than an individual or small community level? Can anybody answer that for me? Because it hasn't. It hasn't. It doesn't work. Now, I do have to state that everything I'm about to talk about is my belief system. You can't tell me I'm wrong. Much like I can't tell you you're wrong. I just have a different belief on it. I don't have a problem with people who preach love and light, provided that they stick to what they preach. Now, what brought me to this concept of duality is that after being manipulated by people wearing masks, dealing with dark energies, pretending to be people that they're not, coming out the other side and then having people preaching the word of love and light, then trying to manipulate me for their own cause, their own war, I got to thinking, who am I supposed to trust here? Who am I supposed to trust? Now, everything that we know and understand about existence is about expansion, right? So from a virus to the human race to the universe, it is all expanding, number one. Number two, everything we know about existence is duality. Masculine, feminine, light, dark, night, day, positive, negative. So everything we know is duality. Now, in the spiritual world, a lot of spiritual people will talk about returning to one. We're all one. We all come from the same source. Yes. But why would we be returning there? As I just said, everything we know, the universe included, is expanding. Now, when I talk about the light and the dark, they for me are tools. When I talk about the light side and the dark side, they are people who work with light energies and see themselves as love and light, and people who work with dark energies. Now, a lot of people who work with dark energies, they have to wear masks, because they do. Okay. Now, after being manipulated by both sides, like I say, it got me to thinking, and it changed my concept on things. So let me just briefly explain my concept of how things work. So at the very top, you have what I call source code, which is the purple stuff. Hence why all these spiritual mediums go around with purple banners. Funny that. Yet they pray to the light. Off that, you have the light and the dark, which are tools. Okay. Now, for me, too many people are worshipping a tool. Too many people worship the light side, the light energies. It's a tool. Now, the light siders will have you believe that the ascension process is about raising your vibration and being happy all the time and putting a big fat smile on your face, and we're going to ascend to this magical place called the 5D where there's waterfalls of rainbows and prancing unicorns, and it's like a Jehovah's Witness brochure that you get through where there's children of all nationalities laughing and singing and holding hands whilst they pet a lion. Bullshit. And if that is what the ascension process is about, I might as well give up now because it sounds like vomit-inducing bullshit to me. Anyway, the light-siders are obsessed with the destruction of the dark because they believe that once that's gone, we're all going to be holding hands and singing Kumbaya in a field somewhere. Now, for me, it's not about that. Because for me, in a spiritual sense, we are here not to have a good time, not to have a nice time. You can have a good time, don't get me wrong. But we are here for soul elevation. And we elevate our soul, sadly, through things like trauma. We elevate our souls by meeting people who are dark. Okay? And if that were to go, where would the lessons be? Now, for me, source code, the purple stuff, is basically a giant megalomaniac supercomputer. And all it wants is information. It wants information on how we navigate things. Now, it has all the information in the world about how we fail, how we turn to drink, drugs, dark energies, etc. Because it's easier. It's easier to do that. It's easier to blame somebody else for your own problems. It's easier to be mistrusting. It's easier to shut down and say, that's it, I give up. Okay, it's easier to become a robot or a dickhead. Okay. What Source actually wants to know is the information about how we navigate something. So we come through something traumatic, but we don't give up. Or we go through something traumatic and we don't close down our heart chakra. We don't shut the trust down. Okay. That's the information it wants because it's about expansion. It wants new information. Now, if we're all sat in a field singing Kumbaya, Source will pull the plug, and it would, because it's got no more information to get out of it. Now, the concept of duality is talked about more with the Americans. However, for me, they've got it wrong, because they still talk about, like, you know, oh, the light's going to win. It's not about that for me. It's not about that. For me, what it's about pushing back the dark so that we hit equilibrium, okay, and then we will ascend. Now, the dark has had the monopoly since day dot, and it has, because it's easier. As I mentioned, it's easier to blame other people. Now, the dark is being triggered at the moment quite badly, and this is why we're seeing a lot of people turn to dark energies, starting with narcissistic tendencies, etc., etc., because it's easier. It's easier to corrupt people. Now, I don't believe in possession. I never have done, and as it stands, unless I get some actual evidence where it's not somebody with severe mental health problems or fakery. For me, I don't believe in possession, but I do believe, because I've seen it firsthand, how dark energies can manipulate people, and that's what's going off at the moment for me. Yeah, so for me, it's about pushing back, hitting equilibrium, and then we will ascend. Okay, now, I'm sure a lot of my lighter side counterparts in the community will say that's an absolute crock of shit. That's perfectly fine. They're allowed their own view. However, what I would say to them is, do you believe in star seeds? Yes. Do you believe in the Anunnaki? Yes. Okay, where are they now? Well, they're in the 5D. And they're all getting on nicely together. Well, no, it's a bit of a spiritual war up there. Okay, so you're wanting us to disarm ourselves, ascend to this 5D plane, okay, and be all kumbaya, so that we can get taken advantage of again. No, thank you. Now, for me, it's not, you know, when I talk about this stuff, duality is about standing your ground, right? Standing your ground. It's about pushback. It's not about attacking people. It's about when they come to you, you stand your ground, you say, no, I'm not having this, right? a lot of people who preach the word of love and light say things like, don't say anything, don't feed it, turn the other cheek, etc., etc. Now, that's perfectly fine if you want to be like that, but then you're going to be a victim. Now, having been somebody who's been chased by darkness, chased by dark energies, and had to deal with an awful lot of fucking dickheads through my life, where I've not said anything, I've stayed quiet, I've been the toxic feminine energy and let people get away with things, to turn around to me after 40 odd years of being putting up with that bullshit, and then finally pulling the cork out my mouth and saying, no, I don't, no, I'm not doing this anymore, I'm not having you take advantage of me anymore. To turn around to somebody like me who has faced trauma after trauma after trauma and say, stay quiet, fuck you. Fuck you. It's an insult. That's an absolute insult to somebody like me. And a lot of people who are drawn to me as a reader, they've been through hell and back. And they want somebody to give them some confidence. They want somebody to say, you can do it. Stand up. Keep standing. So this is why I don't subscribe to the light side bullshit. Now, the second part of that is that being active in the event community, I have seen how the light siders have let people working with dark energies basically kick the back door in. They've bent down, lifted their skirts up and said, go on then. And I'm not prepared to do that because it's wrong. So yes, for me, it is about standing your ground. Now, for me as well, spirituality has been invaded by the Christian doctrine. This is why we have a lot of talk of Christ consciousness and angels. Now, when you stop and think about it, and again, this is going to trigger and upset people, and I'm not going to apologise for it because I'm here to make you stop and think. Angels, in the biblical sense, okay, have no free will and choice. Now, what else has no free will and choice? Slaves. Now, why has this light side God got slaves? Oh, well, it's an extension of him. Well, if we're an extension of them as well, then why have we got free will and choice? Why did this light side God kick out Lucifer? Because Lucifer's not the devil. He's not a demon. He's a fallen angel. He was kicked out because he questioned this light side God and said, why do they get free will and choice and we don't? Kicked out. Okay. Now, I get a little bit triggered by this word, Christ consciousness, because I've never been a Christian. A lot of experience I have from Christian people, be it in the past and now on TikTok, with the Jesus creepers coming on and giving me abuse for no apparent reason, telling me to repent my sins, etc. Christ consciousness for me is Krishna consciousness, because spirituality originates from the Hindus. Now, I cannot understand, and I can't, if that is the case, which it is, you know, it's too hard to put a timeline on it, but they believe that Hinduism predates Christianity anywhere between about 4,000 and possibly up to 10,000 years. So why is it in spirituality today, there is all talk about angels and Christ consciousness? There's a lot of Egyptian stuff out there as well. Now, if you know anything about ancient history, the Egyptians, they're not gods, they're Anunnaki. They were rulers, they were our creators. I work with Shiva energy and Kali energy because I'm an activator reader. I'm a walking tower card and I'm here to trigger and wake people up. I will never work with Christ consciousness, or as I prefer to call it, Krishna consciousness, because I'm not a healer. I'm an activator reader. Now, I don't profess to know an awful lot about Hinduism because it is an extremely complex belief system, extremely complex. However, from what little I know about it, it's not love and light. It's about demon slaying. There's a lot of sex in there as well. So why is it that this Christian-based belief system has come in and basically taken over. Control. Now, it's no secret that the word Amen means Amun-Ra. It's praise to Amun-Ra, the Egyptian god. Now, why is everybody praying to the Egyptian god if they're kind of good Christian people? I don't get it. Words are magic, and when you get groups of people using magic, it feeds into that energy stream. Now, if we take Hinduism and we take the story of Shiva, Parvati is his divine counterpart. Parvati and Shiva, although I don't believe in twin flames myself personally, but they are believed to be the original twin flames. Duality, masculine and feminine. Now, I don't subscribe to a lot of this stuff in the spiritual world, because for me it's, like I say, it's nonsense. If it worked, why isn't it working? You know, it's been like, what, Christ, where are we now? 60 odd years since the Love and Light Brigade started. It doesn't work. How much more time do you want? Now, as I said, for me it's about pushback. It's about pushback. It's about standing your ground. Now, think about it this way. If somebody comes up to you, right, and they're trying to enforce their will on you, their belief system, etc., and you go, nah, don't believe that. You stand up to them and you don't get railroaded by them. You can agree to disagree and never the twain shall meet. And that's perfectly fine. That's perfectly fine. And that is how we change the world. Because it's not about all getting on. It's not all about being one. Why would it be? It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense at all. The only thing that would want us to return back to it is some fake light side god who's posing as something that it's not, to feed off us. It's about, like I say, for me, it's about standing your ground, because having been somebody who's been railroaded, pushed back, and it, like I say, it still goes on today. It still goes on today. I still have people trying to manipulate me. Now, sadly, I don't, you know, despite being a psychic, I don't have the best abilities at reading people for two reasons. Number one, I'm autistic. So I struggle to read between the lines of what's been said or people's actions and behaviours. Number two, one of my roles is to be dumped in the middle of situations and basically tower card the whole lot of it. And if I knew what was going off, it wouldn't be quite as effective. However, I do have a great gift at pattern recognition. So it takes a bit longer, but I do start to see the patterns in things. And once I identify those patterns, I say no more. No more. Because I'm not prepared to live my life that way. Now, when we talk about spirituality, the word itself makes me feel a bit sick in my stomach, I've got to be honest with you, because the ultimate, what pops into the mind is the angels and the love and light and all that stuff, right? There are lots and lots and lots of people out there, such as myself, who don't subscribe to that, who don't believe in it and find it ick, right? As I always say, right, I was born in 82, I grew up in the 90s. I skateboarded, I rollerbladed, I was one of the original nu metal kids. I still listen to nu metal, I still listen to rock, okay? I'm different, and there's lots of people out there like me who aren't in spirituality because they are turned off by this concept of let's all love each other, let's all get on. Like I said, it's not about fighting people. I don't want people going out fighting each other, of course not. But what I want is people to go, no, I deserve better than this. Because if we all did that, if we all stood our ground and stood up to people, those other people would be forced to change their attitude and their beliefs. So, case in point, the dreaded situationship. And when I'm doing a reading, if you have a reading with me, I'm going to talk about having accountability for yourself. The reason why people run around leaving people on red, not responding to their messages, and leaving them in an anxious attachment energy is because they get away with it. Because nobody ever stands up to them. Nobody ever says, enough's enough. Not going to port with this. if we all did that, these people would have nowhere to go, because then they'd have to be faced with dealing with other people like them. We'll let them sit in their pit, I say. If they want to do that to each other, fair enough. And the rest of us, we'll get on with our lives. Okay, we'll find the right people to be in relationships with, friendships with, etc. But there's nothing wrong with having your own culture, having your own society. But it's when we start fighting in the name of the belief system. Okay. And as I said in one of my very first TikTok videos, the issue that I have with religion is that they say that they are right. And that is where wars start. Now, for me, I'm not prepared to just roll over and be quiet, and I'm not. And I get it triggers people because they don't like what I'm saying, because I preach something different. I preach people to think for themselves. I don't read the works of Dolores Cannon or Doreen Virtue or that idiot who reckons he's channeling Bashar, because I don't. I'm free thinking. Most of my content does not come because I've sat there reading through stuff, and you might say that's very ignorant. It comes to me and I go, that's an interesting concept. I mull it over, I do my content, and then afterwards, yes, it is backwards way of doing it, then I research it, because I'm free thinking. There's too many people in this community, in the world, that read something, take it as gospel just because somebody's been doing it for 20, 30 years, and they dedicate their life to it. They worship it. Now, I don't worship anything, and I don't. I don't worship the light, and I don't worship the dark, because they're both tools. I don't even worship the purple stuff, because it's energy. The only thing that I will ever worship in my life is when my wand turns up. She will be the only thing that I worship. Because I'm free thinking. I have free will. I have free choice. I am an individual. I don't care if I come from a universe. I'm individual. And you should be too. And you should be proud of those individualities. There's too many people in this community who sit on their ivory towers, who tell people what to do. You should do this. You should do that. You're not healing right because you're not doing it this way. And it's bullshit. Now, in my readings, will I give you advice? Yeah. 2 reasons. Number 1, I've got a degree in advice and guidance. Number 2, I've got an awful lot of life experience. Now, that advice is not based on what you should do. That advice is based on what I would do in that situation. And I'm happy, if I think it might help, to express that. But ultimately, you need to take accountability for yourself. You need to stand up for yourself, and you need to say no more, because that is duality. It does not make you a bad person. That is yet another lie by the light siders. You say that makes you bad. You need to stay quiet. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. As I said in a post or content, can't remember which one it was a while back, if your kid was being bullied at school, would you tell them to stay quiet? Because if you do, then you're a bad parent. You should tell your kid to stand up for themselves, because bullies only know one thing, and that is people standing up to themselves and not putting up with their shit. It's time for people to start changing the rhetoric and the mindset on this. Because like I say, there's too many people praying to a false god. There's too many people praying to a false energy stream, which is the light side. The light and the dark are tools, and they're being corrupted and played with by the same energy stream, which is an Anunnaki one, Amun-Ra. Just stop and think about it. Just stop and think about it. So yes, duality, it's what I preach, it's what makes me so dangerous, and it is what makes me the most controversial and hated person in spirituality in the UK today. Until next time, ta-ta.